Hey, what is up, guys? Joseph here, and this is going to be my review for the movie I was looking forward to the most this entire year, The Batman. Now I'm going to go ahead and issue a very heavy spoiler warning. If you have not seen the movie, going to spoil it. So you've been warned.
Having a clue. Let's play a game, just me and you. Any of this mean anything to you?
Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get into it. Go into the positives first. Because this is not a perfect movie. There's some negatives I can think of for this movie that some of them are kind of nitpicking, but some of them are kind of major, not really minor, but not really major. It's like in the middle. I'll get to it when I get there. As far as positives, I don't even know where to start. Robert Pattinson. I had faith in Robert Pattinson as Batman. He, I know a lot of people when the whole casting came out. I remember I was I was one of those people that Twilight, from the guy from Twilight, Harry Potter, because I hadn't seen uh what's that Good Time. It was he got cast before The Lighthouse came out. I remember when he got cast, it was same as everybody else. I wasn't a fan of it, all that kind of stuff. Then I was kept hearing about how he's gotten better, and I got recommended Good Time, and from the moment I saw Good Time till I saw the movie, I was sold on Robert Pattinson. Then The Lighthouse even solidified it, made me even more confident that he was actually going to be actually pretty daggone good. It's too soon for me to say if he's the best, but he's definitely up there in consideration for me. His Bruce Wayne, I mean, it's it's a year two Bruce Wayne. So that's going into the negatives right there. That's kind of a nitpick. But I mean, it's Bruce Wayne. It's still early in his whole Batman career, so he hasn't really learned the balance between being Batman, being Bruce Wayne in the public eye. So hopefully his Bruce Wayne actually gets a lot better in the sequel, which I'm really looking forward to. But I believe this is the first time I can remember. I'll say that first time I can remember a Batman movie where Batman is the best part of the whole thing. Riddler, so glad. Well, that'll hold that thought. But Riddler, Paul Dano, he was legitimately terrifying at times, and he's definitely the best villain in a Batman movie we've had since Heath Ledger as the Joker. I mean, I could make an argument that he's probably better, or I prefer the Paul Dano's Riddler in this movie to Heath Ledger's Joker. I mean, Paul Dano, Robert Pattinson, Zoe Kravitz, Colin Farrell, both of them. Because Zoe Kravitz, I think this is the first time I've seen her in a movie. Colin Farrell, unrecognizable. I couldn't even hear the voice. I still can't see Colin Farrell underneath all that makeup. Jeffrey Wright, who I think this is the first time I've seen anything he's been in, surprised me as Gordon. But I mean, the car chase between Batman and the Penguin, fantastic. But I mean, from all the performances, which I mean, I'll get more into that, the negatives in a second, but even because there's a couple of negatives that I didn't really like their character or how they were done, this and that. Even the characters that I didn't like, the actors, they still did a good job, decent job at the very least. But I mean, the acting, the writing, the directing, Matt Reeves, man, I cannot wait to see what he does in the sequel. I've heard they're talking about including Mr. Freeze or Hush or the Court of Owls, and I want to say there was one more they've talked about doing that escapes my mind. I can't remember the fourth. They've talked about them three. They've talked about including Robin in the sequels. I mean, I give Matt Reeves the key to the whole DC stuff. But I mean, the Riddler, as I was talking about earlier, the Riddler, he's essentially just the Zodiac killer from the riddles. And I want to say I've read somewhere that Paul Dano actually took influence from the actual Zodiac killer, in preparation for this. And it shows, especially with the opening scene. Yeah, this is the first time in a superhero movie that I was legitimately disturbed, kind of terrified of the villain. Like, I never really felt that fear with the Joker. I never really felt that fear like any of the Marvel villains. There's no villain that I felt more kind of fear and just scared of than the Riddler in this movie. And that's why that's why I'm going back and forth with who's better, the Riddler, Paul Dano's the Riddler, or Heath Ledger's Joker. Like, I still don't know. I'm gonna have to watch it several more times before I come up with that answer. But Paul Dano, fantastic. The fight choreography, off the charts. The car chase, the score. Michael Giacchino's is, I wouldn't say he's my favorite composer, but he's definitely up there, for sure. Especially with this with this movie and Up and Ratatouille and just all of his, I can't think of one bad score he's done. Cinematography, fantastic. Technical stuff, all that kind of stuff. This movie, it's fantastic.
The hell are you supposed to be?
I'm vengeance.
Now, with all that being said, the negatives. I mean, as far as the negatives go, I've thought long and hard. Because I'm recording this video on Wednesday, and I saw the movie on Monday. I thought long and hard these past couple of days of all the negatives I can come up with, even nitpicking stuff. I can only come up with 5. Nope. 5. Okay. Out of frame. First, some of them are nitpicks, I'll be honest, but, some of them, whatever. Number 1, Andy Serkis. Not that he did a bad job, just the whole, how they did Alfred. I'm going back and forth, depending on what they do in the sequel. I don't know. Maybe they have plans, we'll just have to wait and see. But as far as this movie, he was only there to tell Bruce the truth about his parents. The whole dynamic between Bruce and Alfred, and yeah, I get it. It's early. They're not really that close at this point. They become close throughout the movie, after Alfred gets blown up. But throughout the movie, it didn't really feel like the Batman, Bruce Wayne, Alfred relationship that I know. Like I said, then again, this is still early. He's still got some pent up anger that he works through throughout the movie, to the point where at the very beginning he's like an angsty teen. By the end of the movie, he becomes the Batman. So I mean, I get it. We'll get to that relationship, in the sequel, I'm sure. But in this movie, I just didn't really care for how they did Alfred in this movie, me personally. Andy Serkis was fine. Not saying he did a bad job. Just the writing of Alfred wasn't that big a fan of. Nitpick. John Turturro is Carmine Falcone. Similar to Alfred. John, he did a good job. Just wasn't a fan of I don't know what it is about the Falcone in this movie. I just didn't. I didn't really care for it, me personally. Number 3, some of it could have been trimmed down to make the whole thing shorter. I felt it, especially like in some of the stuff in the Iceberg Lounge. I felt kind of dragged out a little bit. That was mainly for me. Stuff that I can think of that I felt could have been trimmed down was the stuff with the Penguin, and even though Colin Farrell was fantastic, the stuff with the Iceberg Lounge and all that kind of stuff. Yes, it was important to the plot and everything. I get that, but I don't know. It could have been shorter. Number 4. I'm gonna say that for last. Number 4 was something I've already talked about with the lack of Bruce Wayne in this movie. It was like 95% Batman, and that's I've always talked about some of these movies that are named, whatever they're named, like the Batman, and I complain about they spend more time, as Bruce Wayne than the superhero kind of stuff. But there has to be some kind of balance, more than that, I believe. Especially with the first outing. In the second and third, we've can kind of get away with it, but I don't know. I just wish we had more time with his Bruce Wayne than 15 minutes of screen time, maybe 20. I'd say no more than 20. But yeah, I just wish we had more time with his Bruce Wayne. Last, not least, oh man, I don't know how people are going to react to this one. I really don't. I am getting sick and tired of the Joker. I really am. And I did not need the whole riddle with, I don't remember exactly what it was, but what's basically their answer is a friend. The friend riddle. I can't remember that. I am so sick and tired of the Joker. Oh man, is it just me? Is like anybody else tired of every single freaking Batman franchise has to have a Joker at some point? People always talk about how Batman has the best rogues gallery. Yeah, apparently not in the movies, because every single freaking one has a Joker. I get it. People always, oh man, I am gonna get hate for this. I can see the comments now. Joker's always like in like number one at the least. He's number two on like every list you see. Top 10, top 50, top 100 super villains of all time. Fine. But I just want to see more villains. I want to see villains we haven't seen before. Or villains we've seen like once. Like Riddler. We've seen we've seen Riddler in the 60s, also. But we like the 60s, you had Cesar Romero Joker. You had Jack Nicholson in the 80s. You had Mark Hamill in the 90s. You had Heath Ledger in the 2000s. Joaquin Phoenix and Jared Leto in the same decade in the 2010s. Now we have what's his face? I don't even know what his name is in this movie. God, give me Clayface. Give me another Ra's al Ghul, but like make him with the Lazarus Pit. Give me freaking like a good Mr. Freeze, a Court of Owls. A good Poison Ivy. There's so many freaking. Why do we have to have another freaking Joker? Why? Like, I really don't know if I'm alone, or does everyone else agree with me? I just want other villains we haven't seen before, like a Clayface. I've been dying for a Clayface movie. Mr. Freeze, I think, would be very, very interesting, especially set in like this kind of universe. Just trying to think of all the Batman villains I can think of that we haven't seen before. I know we've seen Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy. But I mean, you can do a good movie about both of those. You could have Scarecrow come back and have him be the main villain instead of as like a minor villain in Batman Begins. Who else? Mad Hatter you could do. Deathstroke. I know that was the original plan for this movie with Joe Manganiello, whatever. But bottom line is, I'm just sick and tired of Joker. I really am. I just don't want every Batman movie to have Joker or have a reference to Joker. Like, I know that is, that's Batman's arch nemesis. I started to say enemy, then changed it to nemesis at the freaking last second. But I mean, give me something else that we haven't seen before. Is that too much to ask? I don't know how. I don't know if you guys are going to agree with that or not. I really don't. I'm actually curious to find out. But I mean, other than that, little rant. Overall, I loved this movie. It's more of like a noir, old school noir kind of detective movie with the whole narration. It has that kind of flavor, but in the added sense that it's a superhero movie. I can see this movie get nominated for Best Picture. And there's very few superhero movies that I can think of that I would put on that pedestal. I mean, even though it's not the traditional superhero movie, it's still one of the best ones they've ever made. Just like Logan, just like I would call Logan more of a superhero movie than Joker. Joker, I wouldn't classify as a superhero movie. Other than that, I love this movie. It definitely lived up to the hype for me. I mean, I guess we'll go ahead and give it a score. Give it a score of 90%, minus those little nitpicks. This movie, it lived up to the hype. It could have been shorter. I hope that they don't really. They're gonna do something with Joker. They wouldn't have teased it otherwise. If I'm alone, so be it. But whatever they do, I mean, I'm gonna watch it. Whatever they do, I'm gonna watch it. I'm not gonna not watch it just because it's Joker. I just wish we had, some villain we haven't seen before or seen as much as we have seen of the freaking Joker. But whatever. I'm about to start ranting again. Like, I know a lot of people are saying it's a 10 out of 10, all this and that. I mean, me personally, I wouldn't go that far. Then again, I've only seen it once. Maybe if I watch it again, maybe I'll be in that same boat. But as of right now, this very second, it comes in at a strong 90. But that's my thoughts on this movie. Let me know what you guys think of this thing in the comments below. Did you like it? Did you love it? Do you think it's a 10 out of 10? Do you think it's the worst thing ever made? Were you scared of the Riddler? How do you feel about the whole Joker situation? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you think I'm a freaking idiot? Let me know in the comments below. As always, like me on Facebook at JMansion97. Follow me on I am so used to doing all this. I don't even remember what all I have. It's been so freaking long since I've uploaded a video. But yeah, all the social media links in the description below. If you enjoy this video, be sure to hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Mash out.